Remember when Everybody Hates Chris ruled weeknight TV? It was a hilarious yet bittersweet look into Chris Rock's chaotic childhood, making us laugh and tear up at the same time. But 20 years later, the cast's real lives took turns no one expected. Some rose to fame, others disappeared, and a few faced battles that nearly destroyed them. What happened to them in 2025 will shock you. Antonio Fargus as Doc. You remember Doc, right? The wise, sharp-tongued man behind the counter who ran the corner store in Everybody Hates Chris. Played by Antonio Fargus, Doc was more than a shopkeeper. He was the voice of reason, the one who saw through Chris's teenage chaos and offered truth disguised as sarcasm. He made that little store feel like the center of the universe, where laughter and life lessons cost about 50 cents each. But Antonio's real story started far from comedy. Born in Harlem in 1946, he grew up in a cramped apartment. His father, of Puerto Rican and Trinidadian roots, worked endlessly, while his mother held the family together with faith. As a kid, Antonio watched neighbors lose everything to poverty and racism. Maybe that's why he turned to the stage. Acting wasn't ambition. It was medicine. That hunger to break out pushed him into the blaxploitation era of the 1970s. Films like Shaft, Foxy Brown, and Across 11th Street turned him into a cult icon. But fame came with a curse. Hollywood only wanted him as the street guy. Roles dried up, bills piled high, and after a painful divorce, he had to start again from scratch. Yet he never quit. He rebuilt old homes to pay rent, read Shakespeare in between auditions, and waited for his moment. When it finally came, the role Huggy Bear in Starsky and Hutch. Decades later, that same soul found its way into Doc. Fargus brought his own hard-earned wisdom into the role, the exhaustion, the humor, the quiet compassion of a man who'd lived through everything. It's what made his scenes with Chris so special. They weren't acted, they were remembered. Antonio Fargus played Doc in Everybody Hates Chris when he was 58 years old. Now, at 79, he lives a quieter life surrounded by family and community projects. He still speaks at art centers and occasionally appears on screen. His net worth is around $8 million, but his true wealth is endurance, the strength of a man who turned pain into poetry. Ricky Harris as Malvo. When Ricky Harris showed up as Malvo, you knew chaos was coming. He wasn't just the bully who robbed Chris. He was the street-made human, unpredictable and magnetic. Malvo scared you, but he made you laugh too because deep down, you sensed he wasn't evil, just broken. Ricky played that duality perfectly, like a man who'd seen the dark and learned to joke about it. And maybe that's because he had. Born in Long Beach in 1962, Ricky grew up where danger lived on every corner. His father preached in church while the streets preached something else entirely. However, he learned how to survive with humor. Comedy became his weapon. It saved him when the world didn't care. By the time he hit HBO's Def Comedy Jam in the early 90s, his energy was raw, real, and painfully funny. But Hollywood has a cruel habit of using up its comedians. Ricky hustled for years, taking whatever roles he could. Poetic Justice, Heat, Bones, and doing voice work for Snoop Dogg's albums. He worked nonstop, even when his health was failing, because slowing down meant being forgotten. Behind the laughter, there were sleepless nights, anxiety, and the quiet terror of not knowing when the next job would come. The stress started eating at his heart, literally. Still, Everybody Hates Chris gave him a new kind of spotlight. Malvo became a fan favorite. Wild, hilarious, but deeply human. Ricky poured every part of his past into that role. That's why people loved him. Ricky Harris played Malvo when he was 42 years old, appearing in Everybody Hates Chris from 2005 to 2008. Sadly, he passed away on December 26, 2016, after a sudden heart attack at only 54 years old. His net worth was about $1 million, Not much by Hollywood standards, but every dollar came from laughter he created out of struggle. He left behind a wife, 2 children, and a legacy that still makes people smile through tears. Ernest Lee Thomas as Mr. Omar. In Everybody Hates, Chris, Ernest Lee Thomas, played Mr. Omar, the peculiar funeral director with a dry sense of humor and his famous line, "Tragic." Calm, odd, and strangely comforting, Mr. Omar became one of those small but unforgettable characters who gave the show its distinct rhythm. Ernest's life began far from Hollywood glamour. Born in Gary, Indiana in 1949, he grew up in a working-class family that valued faith more than fame. As a quiet boy, he preferred reading and daydreaming over street games. Books became his refuge, and acting, his escape. After finishing school, he left everything behind for New York City, with just a suitcase and a dream big for stage. The years that followed were brutal. He waited tables, auditioned endlessly, and sometimes slept in borrowed rooms, but persistence paid off. He appeared on Broadway in The Member of the Wedding alongside Glenn Close, and later caught television's attention. When What's Happening premiered in 1976, he became Raj, the smart, hopeful teenager America loved. Later, he returned in What's Happening Now, 1985 to 1988, and went on to appear in Malcolm X, 1992, and The Lords of Salem, 2012, proving his range far beyond sitcom laughter. Still, behind the curtain, the journey wasn't easy. Fame faded, roles grew scarce, and loneliness crept in. Unmarried and mostly private, Ernest focused on his craft to fight off depression and aging eyesight issues. Yet, when Everybody Hates Chris arrived, it reignited his joy. Ernest Lee Thomas played Mr. Omar when he was 55 years old, beginning in 2005. Today, at 76, he continues to appear in small film and television projects, most recently lending his voice to the animated revival Everybody Still Hates Chris, 2024. His estimated net worth is $2 million, built over 5 decades of steady work and quiet resilience. Charlie Murphy as Uncle Mike. Uncle Mike was the loud relative everyone secretly loves, the guy who shows up uninvited, eats all your food, and leaves you laughing even when you don't want to. Played by Charlie Murphy, he brought chaos, charm, and that raw street humor that only someone who had lived a wild life could deliver. Charlie's childhood in Brooklyn was far from sitcom material. His father was a transit cop, his mother a telephone operator, and the world around him was rough. When he was barely a teenager, he got caught up in street trouble and ended up in jail for 10 months. The day he got out, he joined the Navy, vowing never to waste another chance. 6 years in uniform taught him discipline. Comedy taught him forgiveness. He stumbled into entertainment through music, producing for his half-brother's hip-hop group K9 Posse before finding his calling in stand-up. Then came Chappelle's Show. His True Hollywood Stories sketches became instant legend. For the first time, people saw Charlie not as Eddie Murphy's brother, but as his own force of nature. Fame finally smiled on him, but behind the grin was heartbreak. In 2009, his wife Tisha died of cancer, leaving him alone with their 2 children. He tried to keep performing, but the grief never really left. By the time Everybody Hates Chris came calling, Charlie's humor had turned softer, wiser. As Uncle Mike, he poured all his love for family into a role that made audiences laugh while hiding a lump in their throats. Behind the jokes was a man who'd lost almost everything but still believed in making people happy. Charlie Murphy played Uncle Mike when he was 47 years old, appearing on Everybody Hates Chris from 2006 to 2008. He passed away on April 12, 2017, after a battle with leukemia at just 57 years old. His net worth at the time was around $2.5 million, earned through decades of relentless work, unfiltered honesty, and a sense of humor that refused to die, even when he did. Jarus Poindexter as Kill Moves. Kill Moves was the kind of neighbor every street seemed to have. Strange, unpredictable, yet somehow wise in his own chaotic way. Played by Jarus Poindexter, the character wandered the world of Everybody Hates Chris. Beneath the jokes about his odd behavior, there was always a flash of brilliance that made you wonder who he used to be before the streets claimed him. Jarus's real life wasn't so different in spirit. Born in Los Angeles in 1950, he grew up surrounded by music, faith, and struggle. His parents worked long hours, and he learned early that laughter could ease tension faster than money ever could. Acting began as a side hobby to him, but soon, stages and small theaters across California became his second home. His first big break came decades later in The Color Purple, 1985, a film that gave him his first taste of serious recognition. Later, he appeared in Aquila and the Bee, 2006, lent his voice to numerous projects, and carried his love for performing into television series like The Chi, 2022. He never chased fame. He chased meaning, and that made his work feel honest. By the time he stepped into Everybody Hates Chris, Jarus had learned to play the broken man with humor and dignity. His portrayal of kill moves wasn't just funny. It was tender, layered, a quiet portrait of survival. Off-screen, he battled high blood pressure and the realities of aging, yet kept a disciplined life, grounded in family and faith. Jarus Poindexter played kill moves when he was 54 years old, beginning in 2005. Now, at 75, he continues to act occasionally and remains involved in music and community theater. His estimated net worth is $1.5 million, the result of a lifetime of consistent, humble artistry that proved success doesn't always need a spotlight. Todd Bridges as Monk. Monk was that unforgettable regular at Doc's store, a paranoid veteran with a heart of gold and a mind that never fully left the battlefield. Played by Todd Bridges, the character brought depth to Everybody Hates Chris. Monk was funny, yes, but you could see in his eyes that he'd lived through storms. Todd's own storms began early. Born in San Francisco in 1965 to a show business family, he was thrust into the spotlight as a child actor before he could truly understand what fame meant. Different strokes made him a star. But behind the smiling face America adored was a teenager battling exploitation, trauma, and the heavy cost of early success. Hollywood praised him on camera and forgot him off it. When the lights dimmed, addiction filled the silence. Cocaine and meth took over, and his once golden career collapsed into courtrooms and headlines. There were arrests, overdoses, even an attempted suicide. But Todd refused to be a cautionary tale. With help, faith, and years of hard work, he got clean in 1993 and began rebuilding. He later found redemption through small screen appearances and reality shows like Celebrity Big Brother, 2022. His memoirs told the story Hollywood tried to bury. When he joined Everybody Hates Chris, his performance as Monk carried an honesty that no script could fake. Todd Bridges played Monk when he was 39 years old, starting in 2005. Today, at 60, he continues to work in television, speak about recovery, and mentor young actors. His estimated net worth is $250,000, modest but hard-earned. Terry Crews as Julius. Julius Rock was the kind of father who made every cent count. Played by Terry Crews, he was a man who worked 2 jobs, measured the milk before pouring it, and reminded his kids that that's $2 worth of electricity every time they left the lights on. Under the tough love and sharp discipline, Julius represented a black father who loved loudly, worked endlessly, and stood proudly. Terry Crews' own story began in a place just as hard. Born in Flint, Michigan, in 1968, he grew up with an abusive, alcoholic father and a mother who held the family together through faith and fear. He was shy, artistic, and used to draw superheroes when reality got too painful. That gift earned him an art scholarship to Western Michigan University, where he also joined the football team and earned a full athletic scholarship. Football was his ticket out. but it wasn't peace. After bouncing between NFL teams, Cruz found himself broke and disillusioned. He painted portraits for his teammates just to buy groceries. Yet that creative fire never died. When he retired from football in 1997, he took a wild leap into acting. Then came Friday After Next, White Chicks, and finally, Everybody Hates Chris. But behind the smiles, Terry's private life was breaking. By 2010, he admitted to a long struggle with pornography addiction that nearly destroyed his marriage to Rebecca King Cruz. Together, they entered therapy and rebuilt their bond through faith and transparency. In 2017, he faced another test, revealing that he was sexually assaulted by a Hollywood executive and standing among the silence breakers honored by time. His courage turned him from an entertainer into an advocate for healing, masculinity, and survival. Terry Crews played Julius Rock when he was 37 years old, starting in 2005. Now, at 57, he continues to thrive, hosting America's Got Talent, writing books, and speaking out for men's mental health. His net worth is estimated at $25 million, built from decades of discipline and resilience. Tichina Arnold as Rochelle. Rochelle was fire and heart in one body. The no-nonsense mother who didn't tolerate disrespect, waste, or excuses. Played by Tichina Arnold, she turned everyday frustrations into laugh-out-loud moments. Her sharp tongue, fierce energy, and hidden tenderness made her one of the most beloved sitcom moms of her generation. Born in Queens, New York in 1969, Tichina grew up in a working-class family with strong values. Her mother worked sanitation, her father was a police officer, and both taught her that hard work was the only way forward. From an early age, Tichina was drawn to the stage. She attended the LaGuardia High School of Music and Art and Performing Arts, the same school that produced stars like Jennifer Aniston and Nicki Minaj. Her big break came at just 16 with Little Shop of Horrors, 1986, and a few years later, she became a household name as Pam James on Martin, 1992 to 1997. Her chemistry with Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell made her a legend in black comedy. But fame came with turbulence. 2 divorces, one from boxer Lamon Brewster and another from coach Rico Hines after a public cheating scandal, left emotional scars. She later revealed battles with endometriosis and lupus, illnesses that tested her spirit but never broke it. Through the pain, Tichina kept working, starring in Survivor's Remorse, Happily Divorced, and The Neighborhood. Her portrayal of Rochelle was more than just acting, it was personal. She poured every ounce of her strength, humor, and exhaustion as a single mother into that role. Tichina Arnold played Rochelle Rock when she was 35 years old, beginning in 2005. Now, at 56, she continues to star in The Neighborhood and recently returned to voice Rochelle in Everybody Still Hates Chris, 2024. Her net worth is estimated at $2 million, earned through acting, singing, and sheer persistence. Jacqueline Mazarella as Miss Morello. In Everybody Hates Chris, Jacqueline Mazarella played Ms. Morello, Chris's overly sympathetic teacher who meant well but never quite understood him. With her exaggerated kindness and unintentional racial remarks, she became one of the show's funniest and most ironic characters. Jacqueline grew up in New Jersey and studied philosophy at Johns Hopkins University before turning to acting. Her early career was built on stage work and small television appearances. That persistence paid off when she landed Everybody Hates Chris in 2005, earning recognition for her sharp timing and expressive humor. After the show ended, she continued to explore creative storytelling. She appeared in Our Family Wedding, 2010, and created The Oversharer, 2014, a comedy web series that won at the LA Comedy Festival. Her experience during 9/11 left her with PTSD, a struggle she later turned into art through her upcoming project Ground Zero, a dark comedy about trauma and recovery. Jacqueline's work gradually shifted from acting to writing and producing. She became known for scripts highlighting social issues like systemic racism and mental health. Rather than chasing fame, she focused on projects that made people think and feel. Jacqueline Mazarella played Ms. Morello when she was 37 years old, starting in 2005. As of 2025, she is 57 years old, continuing to write, produce, and mentor young filmmakers in Los Angeles. Her estimated net worth is $1 million, earned through decades of persistence and creative independence. Jackée Harry as Vanessa. Jackée Harry joined Everybody Hates Chris in 2005 as Vanessa, Rochelle's outspoken and flamboyant best friend from the hair salon. With her quick wit and larger-than-life personality, she brought glamour and chaos to every episode she appeared in. Jackée was born in 1956 in North Carolina and raised in Harlem, New York. Before fame, she worked as a teacher after earning her degree in education from Long Island University. But her passion for performing led her to Broadway in the late 1970s, where her charisma quickly made her stand out. By the mid-1980s, her role as Sandra Clark in 227 made television history, earning her an Emmy. Her success continued with Sister, 1994 to 1999, and Ladybugs, 1992, roles that cemented her reputation as one of TV's sharpest comedic actresses. Off-screen, however, Jackée faced heartbreak. 2 failed marriages and several health scares forced her to refocus on self-care and longevity. Her resilience became as much a part of her identity as her humor. Decades later, she reinvented herself once again, joining Days of Our Lives as Paulina Price in 2021, a role that earned her renewed critical acclaim. Jackée Harry played Vanessa when she was 49 years old, starting in 2005. Now 69, she continues to act in television and theater, splitting her time between Los Angeles and New York. Her net worth is estimated at $6 million, built through 4 decades of groundbreaking television work and a spirit that never stopped performing. Tyler James Williams as Chris. Tyler James Williams portrayed Chris Rock's teenage years with wit, vulnerability, and quiet strength. His character wasn't just the center of the story, he was the mirror for every kid who ever felt out of place, laughed through humiliation, and kept going anyway. Tyler's sharp comedic timing and soulful expressions made Chris unforgettable. Tyler's journey began far from Hollywood glamour. Born in Westchester County, New York, to a counselor mother and a police officer father, he grew up in a disciplined yet creative home. Acting came early. At just 4, he appeared on Sesame Street and Little Bill, learning how to perform before he could truly understand fame. His childhood was strict, his parents protective, but that structure gave him something many young actors lacked: resilience. When Everybody Hates Chris ended, Tyler faced a difficult transition. The fame that once brought opportunity suddenly boxed him in. Casting directors saw Chris, not Tyler. He fought his way out with roles in Let It Shine, 2012, Dear White People, 2014, and The Walking Dead, 2015, showing range far beyond sitcom comedy. But just as his career began to bloom, his health failed him. In 2017, he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease after years of unexplained pain and rapid weight loss. Multiple surgeries followed, and at one point, he feared he might never act again. That fight changed him. Tyler came back stronger. In Abbott Elementary, 2021 to present, he reinvented himself as Gregory Eddy, a calm, charming teacher who became one of television's most beloved characters. His Golden Globe win in 2023 wasn't just recognition, it was redemption. He turned suffering into grace and made peace with the fame that once overwhelmed him. Tyler James Williams played Chris Rock when he was 13 years old, beginning in 2005. As of 2025, he is 33 years old, healthy, thriving, and starring in Abbott Elementary. With an estimated net worth of $5 million, he continues to balance acting with advocacy for autoimmune awareness. Vincent Martella as Greg. Every great story needs a loyal best friend. And in Everybody Hates Chris, that was Greg. Played by Vincent Martella, Greg was the awkward, nerdy, yet endlessly devoted sidekick who balanced Chris's chaos with quiet charm. His dry humor and genuine friendship gave the show its heart. Vincent was born in Rochester, New York, to Italian-American parents and raised in Florida. His father owned a pizza chain, and Vincent grew up surrounded by laughter, food, and music. A teacher once told him he had a knack for performing, so he joined acting classes, and by 7, he was appearing in commercials. Unlike many child actors, Vincent managed to keep both feet on the ground, thanks to his family's support. After Everybody Hates Chris, Vincent's voice became his signature. He found massive success as Phineas Flynn in Disney's Phineas and Ferb, 2007 to 2015, earning critical acclaim and an Annie Award nomination. He also voiced characters in Batman, Under the Red Hood, 2010, and Final Fantasy XIII, 2010 to 2013. Behind the microphone, he built a career that outlasted his early fame, mastering the art of reinvention while avoiding Hollywood's pitfalls. Vincent's life has stayed remarkably drama-free. He studied business at the University of Florida, released a pop album titled Time Flies By, and split his time between Los Angeles and his quiet hometown of DeLand. In 2024, a viral resurgence of Everybody Hates Chris in Brazil turned him into an unexpected internet sensation. His Instagram following skyrocketed from 200,000 to over 3 million in a week. The world rediscovered Greg, and with it, Vincent's enduring charm. Vincent Martella played Greg Wooliger when he was 13 years old, beginning in 2005. Today, at 33, he continues voice acting for Phineas and Ferb, 2025 revival, and working in both film and gaming. His estimated net worth is $3 million, earned not through scandal or fame, but through consistency, gratitude, and a voice millions grew up recognizing. Tequan Richmond as Drew. Every show has that one character who steals the spotlight without even trying. And for Everybody Hates Chris, it was Drew. Cool, confident, and effortlessly popular, Drew made everything look easy, driving Chris crazy in the process. Played by Tequan Richmond, he brought charm, swagger, and a surprising emotional depth that made the Rock family feel real. Tequan's life before fame wasn't easy either. Born in Burlington, North Carolina in 1992, he moved to Los Angeles with his family to chase acting dreams. But Tequan's focus set him apart. As a teen, he landed commercials for major brands like McDonald's and Nike before earning small roles in ER, Cold Case, and CSY. His talent was undeniable, and by 13, he had booked the role that would define his childhood. After Everybody Hates Chris, Tequan made one of the rarest transitions in Hollywood. His performance as T.J. Ashford in General Hospital, 2012 to 2018, earned him multiple Daytime Emmy nominations. He also took on darker, more challenging work, playing one of the Beltway snipers in Blue Caprice, 2013, a Sundance hit that proved his dramatic range. Yet behind his growing fame, he battled the quiet struggle of typecasting and the loneliness that comes with early stardom. By his late 20s, Tequan shifted gears again, this time toward music. Under the stage name T-Rich, he built a small but loyal following in hip-hop. In 2021, he and longtime girlfriend Tiffany Jackson welcomed a daughter, marking a new chapter that grounded him in family and peace. Fame no longer defined him. Fatherhood did. Tequan Richmond played Drew Rock when he was 13 years old, starting in 2005. Now 33, he continues to balance acting, producing, and music from Los Angeles. With an estimated net worth of $500,000, he may not chase the spotlight anymore. But his quiet resilience and artistic growth prove that some stars never really fade. Imani Hakim as Tanya. If you remember Everybody Hates Chris, you remember Tanya, the mischievous little sister who could get away with anything. Played by Imani Hakim, she was the family's comic firecracker. Funny, cunning, and always one step ahead of her brothers. Her wide-eyed expressions and perfectly timed sass made her a fan favorite from the very first episode. Imani's real story was far from easy. Born in Cleveland, Ohio, in 1993, she grew up in a large family and dreamed of acting before she even knew how hard it would be. At 11, she convinced her parents to let her move to Los Angeles with her father. But money ran out fast. They lived in their car for weeks, surviving on faith and determination. Then, in a stroke of fate, she landed the role of Tanya Rock. Overnight, the little girl who once slept in a car became a television star. After Everybody Hates Chris, Imani kept fighting to prove she wasn't just a child actor. In 2014, she portrayed Olympic gymnast Gabby Douglas in The Gabby Douglas Story, earning praise for her emotional honesty and athletic transformation. Later, she joined Apple TV Plus's Mythic Quest, 2020 to present, as Dana. But even success couldn't erase the scars of her early struggle. Away from the cameras, Imani found happiness. She became engaged to actor Chris Naoki Lee, and in 2025, they welcomed their first child, Kazuo Marley. She often credits motherhood with grounding her and giving her strength to keep growing as both an artist and a person. Imani Hakim played Tanya Rock when she was 12 years old, beginning in 2005. Today, at 32, she continues to shine in Mythic Quest and inspire young artists who come from nothing. Her estimated net worth is $1 million, but her true wealth lies in resilience, love, and the journey from homelessness to Hollywood success. Fame, loss, redemption, they've lived it all. Which one do you think changed the most since 2005? Comment your answer and subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories.